بنەرانی بەڕێزەم کاتەوە هەموو کاتێکتان شاد و کامەران لە کۆنفرانسی تایبەتین سەبارەت بە جێنۆسایدی کورد بە شێوەیەکی گشتی و جێنۆسایدی کوردانی فەیلی لە هەولێری پایتەختکە بەڕێوە دەچێت. لە دیدا ئەم دیدارەماندا لەگەڵ زۆر بەڕێز گاڤریێل میارۆن کە بۆ خۆی پارێزەرێکی نێودەوڵەتی و بۆ ماوەی 12 ساڵ کاری لەسەر کەیسی جێنۆسایدی کوردان کردو. ئێمە بە خۆشحاڵیەوە ئەم دیدارە لەگەڵ بەڕێز گاڤریێل ئەنجام دەدەین. Mr. Gavriel, thank you so much for this quick interview with Kurdistan24. We appreciate it. This is an honor for us to have someone like you who worked on the case of Kurdish genocide in general, and you worked very, very hard. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I can tell you it's both an honor and a privilege to be here, and to be a friend of the Kurds is a great honor for me.
Thank you. Okay, you've been working on the Kurdish genocide, the case of Kurdish genocide for more than 12 years.
Yes.
During these 12 years on this your hard work, what you reached about the Kurdish genocide, why happened, and what you reached, and what's the conclusion?
So that's really an interesting question, and permit me just to give a little bit background.
Okay.
So I remember I was in law school in 1980. 1988, I was in America, and I remember hearing about Halabja.
Yes.
And it was always in my mind, but I never got so deep into it. But I knew about it. And then I came to Iraq in 2005.
Yes.
In the middle of all the fighting and so on. And I was friends with people in Baghdad. And I stayed here for a while. And I was trying to see what I could do as a lawyer now that the regime was changing. And hopefully there'd be a new Iraq. But things were so bad that a friend of mine told me, go to the north and meet with the Kurds, which I did. And then I went back and I learned about Halabja, and I said, this is a case that we must do, okay? Because my mission is to prove on the law that a corporation or anybody cannot just make money no matter what if people are being harmed or killed, and they just have their profits. That cannot be acceptable. What better case with these companies that built chemical weapons, which everybody knows is illegal, okay? That would be a good starting case for me to prove that a company must be accountable for the harms that they do to people with their actions. But as I got more and more into it, and we went worldwide, and we found all of the sales contracts, all of the orders, memos of meetings with all the high military personnel in Saddam's thing, secret agreements between Saddam's regime and the European companies, a conspiracy, and then it became public that he's using chemical weapons against the Iranians, and they just keep pushing more for more profit. And at the same time, the Barzani massacre occurs, so they know that the Kurds are an enemy of Saddam, and he's going to use this weapon against them too. For sure, they know it. And they all had offices here, and they were working here. I was astounded at how bad this was. It was so much worse than what I thought. And so today, we have put in the court thousands of documents, really thousands of pages of documents, showing the entire conspiracy, how each one of these companies, one built the roads, one built the electrical, one did the machines, one the chemicals, one the bomb-making machines. And these are respectable European companies. And they've gotten away. And the German government knew all about it. There was pressure on the German government to stop it, and they didn't. And so that's what I learned is that this case that we have documented now is an amazing historical case. And so right now it's all in court, and no one is seeing all the evidence that we've put in. And on Monday, we have my final closing argument in Suleimania, in Suri. And then I hope the judge will, he has a mass of things. And by the end of the year, I hope we get a judgment, at least on liability.
Okay.
So that's what I've learned, is that this case is beyond evil, because it's to make the money, and you go to sleep and you feel great, and you bought yourself a new car, and and you have no conscience. And this case is so overwhelming that I believe that it should come to the world. The world will stop and say, wait a minute, this is like the Holocaust, where
So
that's what it is.
It is all.
But from the company side, we know from Saddam's side, we know is that. But this is a different aspect that European companies have this.
Okay, Mr. Gavriel, you talked about this conspiracy between the German companies who made gas weapons, and they give it to Saddam Hussein. Now Saddam Hussein is gone. Now, what we have to do about this?
Right. So, by the way, it's not just German. It's German, French, Dutch companies, Luxembourg Bank. Okay. So the next step is that we need to get our judgment, and then we're going to have to go to Europe, in the courts in Germany, in England, in France, in Holland, and to now force the companies to pay the judgment. The interesting thing is that 2 of these companies are publicly traded, okay? So we're going to have a multi-billion-dollar judgment against them. This will then have to be reported to the stock exchanges. It will have to be on their financial statements. Their stock prices could alter. It could cause chaos in the financial market, and it's going to implicate the German government.
Okay.
So what we need now is, we need to finish the case and then take it there. But what we need here is a change in the law. 10 years ago, Halabja Chemical Victims Society and us submitted a new law to the Kurdish government. And they sat on it, they've done nothing. That law is very important for us because there's a couple of questions under Iraqi law that maybe our case could fall. Maybe the Kurdish court had no jurisdiction to hear the case.
Okay, Mr. Gavriel, the last question, because I'm sorry that I hope that in the future we could have another interview with you. But my last question is, if you remember that after the Second World War, the German governments, one after each other, they apologized to the Jewish and to the rest of the world for the crimes which is being done by Hitler. Why until now the Iraqi government, until now after Saddam Hussein, they are not ready just to say a kind of apology for the Kurdish people for that genocide against what happened to them?
I don't know, but I have 2 thoughts. One is that they don't want to pay any money to the Kurds, and they control the government in the south. Legally, under law, they have to, but they don't want to do it. So they don't want to admit that they have any responsibility. They don't want to apologize. 2, they have not solved in their heart the source of the problem, which is hatred. And it looks to me like many people in the south, even they're not part of Tikrit, they're not part of the old Sunni clan, they may be Shia. They still, and maybe another thing is Iran, because Iran's got its own Kurdish problem, and maybe Iran doesn't want them to apologize.
Okay, Mr. Gavriel, thank you very much for this quick interview. I hope, as I said, maybe in the future, I don't know.
I'm happy to come back anytime.
Yes, to have a very long interview about this case. You have been worked on the Kurdish genocide.
That would be great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you. بینەرانی بەڕێز بەمجۆرە دێنە کۆتایی ئەم دیدار و چاوپێکەوتنە خێرایە لەگەڵ زۆر بەڕێز گاڤریێل مایرۆن. گاڤریێل مایرۆن کە بۆ خۆی پارێزەری نێودەوڵەتیە و کاری لەسەر جەنۆسایدی کوردەکان کردو. تا دیدارێکی تر شاد و بەختەوەر.